Welcome, Joe Martin, to Coaching in Session. How are you doing today?
I'm great, man. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, of course. So today I have you on. You are a fitness professional. You work on habits, mindset, positivity. You do a lot, but in your own words, can you tell the world what you do and how you help them?
Yeah, so my thing is trying to make exercise fun, right? Because people have this kind of preconceived notion that it has to be miserable, the no pain, no gain thing. But there's a way that you enjoy moving your body that you will do on a consistent basis. And it's my job to help you figure out what that is. And if you like it, you'll keep doing it. If you keep doing it, then you're going to keep doing it for life and you'll keep you healthy the rest of your life. So that's kind of where I see my job.
Do you think that people don't find fitness to be enjoyable because of a pre-existing notion, or is this just something that they develop somewhere in childhood?
I think, you do a lot of work on mindset. I think it's kind of the mindset they go in with that they're doing this to lose weight. And that's not the way to do it. There's tons of other benefits you get from exercise. Nutrition is probably what you want to look at if you're looking at just pure weight loss, but you should exercise and it's not a punishment. I had a cheeseburger, so I got to go for a run, or something like that. It's just a way that you actually enjoy moving your body. It feels good. You do it because it feels good. It makes you feel better. You're stronger. You're more resilient. Your pants may fit a little better, something like that. That's awesome. But, look at all those other benefits outside of that. So that's kind of, it's kind of figuring out that, if I'm going in just pure weight loss, it's probably not going to be that great because that's all I'm looking for. I'm not looking at all these, I'm getting off prescriptions. My energy level's better. My mood's better. All these different things beyond the scale. I hate the scale because I primarily train women and they put all their eggs in that basket. For instance, I was training this woman one time and I trained her for 1 month and she lost 18 inches off her body, but she only lost 3 pounds. So she was very upset and she never came back. She's like, I've been doing all this work and that's all 3. I was like, man, you did amazing. You have a whole new wardrobe on. But because that little piece of metal told you you're a failure, you're upset. So, man,
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of my soapbox. Sorry, man. I had to get up on that soapbox
No,
for a
no,
minute.
no. Of course. I typically stay away from the scale myself. Look in the mirror, see how you look, right?
Yeah.
And we take a picture 1 or 2 times a month. You take the picture at the beginning of the month, you can take it in the middle of the month, and then at the beginning of the next month, you compare,
Yeah.
right? And then you keep that first month and you compare from month 0 to month 3 and then month 6, and you can see the difference. And sometimes we forget, right? We
Sure.
look in the mirror and we just are looking at ourselves every single day. We're like, oh, this is, regular person, same person, right? When you look at your old self through like a photo, you start to say like, wow, I'm completely different.
Hmm.
Or if you see someone after like 10 years, you're like, you're completely different. But when we're dealing with ourselves, we don't allow ourselves to get that feeling because we see ourselves every single day.
So crucial for that, man. That's a great point.
And if we take away the scale, then we kind of take away that aspect of judging ourselves every single day. So it's kind of like, well, let's work on it long term because a month of coaching is going to be beneficial. But imagine what you can do in 3 months or 6 months.
Yeah. And that's another thing. It's getting people to take that long-term approach that, hey, you're not just doing this for 6 weeks or 8 weeks or whatever it is. I mean, this is a lifetime thing you're doing. You want to be healthy the rest of your life. You don't want to trade some short-term weight loss or something where you do some dangerous things to lose a bunch of weight. And then you're unhealthy on the other end. This is a game. This is a game of life. I want to be that spry old man. They're like, look at that old dude over there getting after it. That's a goal that I have now. When I was younger, maybe I wanted all these weightlifting things that I wanted to do, but now I see these guys in their 70s and 80s, and man, they're still really fit, got great posture, great energy. It's like, man, that's what I want now.
And when you see them, they're like the beacon of hope for you because I think when we think of old age, we think of like decrepit, we can't run and we're just suffering. We got back pain, knee pain, joint pain. As soon as it's going to rain, we feel something in our joints. We're like,
Yeah,
oh, it's going to rain soon. We,
yeah,
we better get inside.
yeah. And just I try to tell my clients, strength training is the fountain of youth because you think about when your strength goes away, that's when your independence goes away. When you can no longer get out of that chair by yourself or off the toilet or all these things, hey man, your independence is gone. So that's where your strength comes in. It's great to set all these, like I said, when I was younger, I want to set these records in the weight room. And now just like, hey, I want to be able to stand up off this couch whenever I want to with nobody helping me out. It's these little goals that, people kind of get that twisted that, hey, I got to do a bunch of cardio and all this stuff. I mean, hey, let's think long term here. You don't want to just live all these years. You want quality of life, not just a quantity.
I mean, I've been working out since I was 15. I can't tell you that it has changed over the years. When I was 15, I wanted just a six pack and I wanted to
Yeah.
get all the girls and all the stuff. And then my mindset started to change. Like, I want to be able to lift heavy. I want to be able to lift heavier than all the guys in the gym. So I'm lifting like 325, benching and all this stuff. And I'm like,
Hmm.
I'm doing crazy stuff. that I wouldn't even dare to do today. And it's
I'm
not
with you, man.
and it's not even because I can't do it. It's just because I understand the toll it puts on my body and the amount of time I need to recover. Time is one of those precious things to me nowadays, is so valuable to me versus when I was younger. It seems like I have an abundance of time where I was able to go to the gym hours on end,
Hmm.
2 times a day. And now I'm like, if I can make it for an hour a day, I'm doing good. I mean, I always schedule an hour every day, but sometimes it's like, man, it's tight. Like, for example, today is one of my workout days. I have to do a pivot. So I have to work on the weekend now because I can't work out today just because of my schedule. I had back to back meetings. I couldn't get away. I understand that now my Saturday, which would typically be a break day for me, is now a workout day for me because today has to be a work day. But I wanted to get into the discipline of working out, right? Because it's one thing to say, I'm going to go to the gym and just go on the treadmill and walk for a little bit. And then we do that once a year, right? So New
Yeah.
Year's resolutions come. We say, I'm gonna get in shape. We go to the gym, we get a gym membership, we get a trainer, and then we do it for a month or a couple. Then all of a sudden we kind of just fall off the track and maybe getting into the habits of working out and then kind of building that routine.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, the stats show that 90% will drop out within 90 days when January. If you've ever been in the gym, everybody's there in January, right? First 2 weeks, everybody's killing it. I'm working out 2 hours and I'm eating salad and grilled chicken. And then week three is like, man, it's kind of rough. So maybe one a day. And then, by the time March, you're like, well, I'm done with this. I mean, gyms count on you not coming. They have so many members that if everyone came and used the stuff, everything would break down. It'd be too crowded. They count on you not being there. That's
Mhm.
kind of the deal. So I think most part is kind of setting realistic expectations, coming in there and everybody thinks, all it takes is if I just work out for a couple of weeks, I'm going to drop about 10 pounds and gain some muscle and I'll be feeling great. And so they're doing it. They overdo it. They come in there and they're just killing it. Like I said, they're doing all the things and it's not sustainable. And they start falling off and they get injured or they can't keep up the pace and they feel like a failure. So kind of setting those realistic expectations is super helpful. And then setting things beyond the outcome goal of losing X amount of weight. Maybe a performance goal. I'm going to go to the gym 3 days a week. Something like that. That's something you have complete control over. You don't have control over that scale. There's things you can influence it, but you can't have complete control. But you have, just like you said, hey, I was going to work out today, but I can't do it. But I'm going to do it this weekend because it's part of my week. It's part of my schedule. I'm going to get it in there. You seem like a very disciplined person, but you've probably developed habits over the years. That's just who you are. That's what you do. That's what I do. I work out because that's who I am and that's what I do. But it's taken years to just become that person. So I help people get that identity of someone who works out. Because it's
Mhm.
just what I do. It's not, I don't have to think about it. And I don't go in there and kill it every day in the gym. Some days, like, oh, I'm going to kill this workout. I lightly slap it most of the time. I'm getting there and I'm going to do a little something, but I'm in there and it's keeping the habit going. Like you talked about, you're busy right now. I'm a busy guy. I got a lot going on. Kids, he's busy. My wife's got stuff going on. So sometimes, like, I'm in a phase right now that I need to just dial it down rather than just, I'll start working out when. You heard people start, I'll start a new program when. When is so that's a slippery slope right there. When you pause it, it is so hard to get started back. As you know, just the momentum of going, if you can just keep it going, it's much easier than going from zero right back into the program. So I get people, hey, don't stop. Maybe dial it down. Maybe do a 20-minute workout 2 times a week rather than when you were doing 4 or 5. It's just these little habits you can get into rather than stopping completely. What can you do for 10 minutes, 5 minutes, something like that, rather than just completely giving up? It's an inertia thing. If you can just keep it going, it'll keep going. And you talk about discipline. Usually people need to discipline their environment rather than themselves. Because if you know as well as I do, the magic motivation fairy is not going to show up. You're not just going to wake up and be like, hey, I feel like working out today. Most days I don't. And you probably don't either because you got a lot going on. You're going to do it because you do it. So action comes before motivation. That's kind of the things people talk about that, oh, I'll do it when I get motivated. Well, that ain't going to happen. You just, like if you've done before, I'm sure you go in, let me just get this warm up in and maybe I'll feel it. And once you get the warm up in, you'll get into that workout. It'll happen. Just got to get started. But disciplining your environment is, back in the Vietnam War, they said that 20% of the people in there, the soldiers, were heroin addicts. 1 in 5, man, were addicted to heroin during the war. And they thought, oh, man, we're going to have just a nation full of drug users when this war is over. But they came back, as I'm sure you've heard, heroin is very addictive, very hard to get off. But when they came home, 90% of these guys were able to kick their habit. It's because they got out of that environment that was making them use, all the stress of war, being around the same guys all the time, same environment. They changed something up, and just I talked about, it's not that on a serious level, but with my clients, don't bring the junk food in the house. If it's in the house, you're going to eat it. If it's for the kids or whatever it is, you're going to eat it. Or for special occasions, hey, if you keep it at the store and you're willing to get in your car and go get it, you can have it. Okay, that's what I make a deal with. If you're willing to go that far, you can have it. But don't keep it in the house. If it's chips or cookies or things you're trying to avoid, that's like keep the heroin addict keeping that heroin in the house. So I don't want it's the heroin's for the kids. You know, you don't want that. But
Mhm.
think about, don't discipline yourself, discipline your environment. If you know every night you're staying up late watching Netflix, keep the electronics out of the bedroom. If you're just laying in bed watching your phone or whatever, just get it out of there. Take that temptation away where you're not being disciplined. It's just not there. That's so much easier than disciplining your environment than to discipline yourself because, hey, we're all pretty weak when it comes to things like that.
And you said a lot of good things there, from keeping junk food out of the house to being disciplined, finding a routine, changing your environment. I have so much experience in all of those different areas. Let's talk about the routine aspect, right? So, if someone is in a routine of, let's say, eating breakfast, right? First thing they're going to want in the morning is a cup of coffee and maybe a bagel and some cream cheese. They want that, right? They're conditioned to have that. Now, do they need that? Doesn't matter, right? Because
Right.
they want it, right? They're conditioned to have it. And I'm conditioned to wake up in the morning, not eat breakfast. I fast until 12. So I wait until noon to break my fast. And then that's when I have my first meal. Now, typically, I can eat once a day. So I eat once a day. And if I get hungry in the evening, I can have a protein shake, something along those lines. I'm not going to be like, oh, I need a midnight snack and I'm getting a bowl of ice cream and, or, a bowl of cereal. I do have some junk food in the house and I will dive into it every now and again, but I'm very aware of what I do.
Yeah.
So if I'm going and getting a bowl of ice cream, I better have earned that damn bowl of ice cream, because for me, it's kind of like cause and effect. It's easier to put on calories than it is to burn them. And I understand how much work and effort it is to burn calories. So I am so aware of, if I eat this ice cream, I better kick myself in the butt at the gym tomorrow. It could just be, I'm going to do extra set of something. And then that right there is kind of like, okay, if you want something, you have to work for it.
Yeah, see, that's another part that that's just who you are, and that's
Mhm.
that's how you do things. But if you are going to have that junk food like you talk about, hey, enjoy it. No, you nailed it. You said, hey, I'm aware that I'm eating this junk food. Hey, you're not on autopilot. You're not just eating it just because you're watching TV. You're saying, hey, I want this. I'm going to have it, and I'm going to earn it. And that's a great way to do it. You're in complete control. It's not the junk food's in control. That's a great. If you're going to have it in the house and and you're going to sit down and enjoy it and make it a party, that's absolutely fine. I try not to take any foods off the table because, people, they get a lot of guilt and shame around eating, and they can get into these habits that, oh, well, I was bad last night. It's like, oh, man, if you get into that, that's a downward spiral right there.
Yeah.
Just own it. If you had it, you own it. That's
Mhm.
fine. And we're just moving on from there.
And then we have to understand where we eat too. So for me, I eat in the kitchen,
Yeah.
where I'm not like taking my food and watching TV while I'm eating. There's no electronics in the bedroom at my home. There's no eating in the bedroom at my home. And very rarely do we even bring things into the living room like popcorn, things like that. Why, if we have movie night, that typically doesn't even happen. If you're hungry, you want some food, go in the kitchen, right? So you have to go in the kitchen associated with eating. People eat typically like 30 or 40% more food while they're watching some type of program, because they don't even realize it. It's just, they're just doing it from habit. So they're just literally putting something in their mouth while they're watching their show. And when they realize they ran out of chips, they're like, oh, I got to go replenish my bowl. So now they're just getting a surplus of calories that they don't necessarily need. And they're doing an activity that is not really strenuous.
Yeah, and because they didn't enjoy the first time around, so they don't even remember it. Hey, I'm a hypocrite. This happened to me one time. I was eating pizza watching this football game, and I looked down. I had eaten 3 pieces of pizza, and it was like I blacked out. I was out of body experience eating this pizza. I was like, man, where? Oh, so I ate it. Number one, I ate it really fast. You know how detrimental that can be. I ate it really fast, not paying attention. And then I was like, oh, I still want some pizza. And then I went and ate some more pizza. And then I was miserable like 20 minutes later because I overate. So, I was distracted eating, fast eating. Those two together is a rough combination.
Takes about 15 minutes generally for the brain to realize, hey, I'm full.
Yeah.
So if you're just eating very quickly, you're going to most likely get more calories in before your brain can give you that stopgap saying, hey, you're full, stop it.
Yeah.
And then that's where we have to do more work. So now we gain on a couple extra inches, maybe a few pounds. And then now we're like, oh, and we either have a choice to stop or to keep on going and just not care. Sometimes people say, well, I'm just too far gone. And then they basically say it's too late for me. And they just literally will, eat a sandwich at midnight and then go right to sleep. Whoa, number one. But number two is like, you can make a change in your life. And a lot of people, they get into the mindset that they look at their circumstances, right? And they say, this is my circumstance and I can't change it. This is just who I am. This
Hmm.
is what my parents trained me to be. This is what society tells me to be. And this is my circumstance. And then they stay there. And we do have to start to get out of that. It's a little bit of mindset, it's a little bit of habits, of positivity. All of those play a role in that type of thinking.
People do, they get overwhelmed. They're like, oh man, I have so much weight to lose. I just can't even imagine it. We try to break it down to into little habits. Like, are you 90 to 100% sure you could do this? It could be something small like, I'm gonna walk 5 minutes tomorrow. How confident are you could do that? If that's a 9 or 10 on the scale, then hey, let's make that a habit. And that seems like nothing to, especially to people that have been exercising forever. But it's not about that. It's not about the amount of, it's the habit. It's the fact about, I'm just going to do this, and I made a promise to myself I'm going to do it, and I do it. And then, oh, well, maybe I can do 10 minutes. And then you work from there. Because there's, this story about this guy that he went to the gym and he would just go to the gym and sit. He wouldn't even exercise. But every day he would go inside the gym and just sit there. And eventually the guy ended up losing 100 pounds because eventually he started doing 5 minutes of exercise, 10 minutes of exercise. But first thing he did is making go to the gym a habit. Because he didn't say, hey, I gotta go work out for an hour. He went, I gotta go to the gym.
Mhm.
Stop. That's it. And then just slowly build up from there because, we live in a microwave society. We want results now. We want them now. But if people are willing to put in the work and keep at it and be patient with themselves, that weight didn't come on overnight. It's not going to leave overnight either. So just kind of sitting up there, making those habits, being patient, and just continue like snowballing those habits. Keep building on those and don't give up.
And the subconscious mind is so powerful when we do things like that. So that gentleman who went to the gym and just sat there for months probably before he started to work out 5, 10 minutes, right?
Hmm.
If we do something small, I tell people walk to the end of your driveway and walk back into your home, right? I don't care what you do when you walk back into your home, just do that action for no
Yeah.
reason. Then I want you to walk to the end, to the corner of the block or whatever. You walk there, then walk around the block, walk to your mailbox, or whatever you want to do it, but start small. And when we start small, then we give ourselves an opportunity to go a little bit bigger.
Hmm.
It's compounding. So it's kind of like we invest $5 today. This is for all my money nerds out there. If I invest $5 today, or if I give $1 every single day, eventually after so many years, it compounded, not just because of me putting in $1 every single day, but because of the interest also.
Hmm. Yeah, that's it. People they want to talk about Goldilocksing your habits. If some people prefer it that way, where hey, this isn't too hard, it's not too easy, it's just challenging enough where I feel like I'm doing something. So you want to find those goals that suit you the most. Everyone's a little bit different. Some people need something so small that they're like, oh, that seems stupid to even do that, something that small. That's where you want to start with a lot of people. And then with some people, they need a little bit more kick in the pants, and that's more of the Goldilocks, where it's not crushing them, but it's not so easy. They're like, well, that's not even worth my time.
One of the things I work on, especially with my family, my wife was overweight when we had met, and I was in shape. So I was able to coach her, help her along, get better habits. She wasn't out of shape because she didn't know how to work out. It was because she just had bad habits. She was eating late, eating the wrong foods that weren't agreeing with her body. So once we just took those things out of the equations, then she was able to lose weight at a safe number and then keep on going down till she got to a physique where she was like, wow, I look great. And everyone notices that too. Where I think society kind of does a huge detriment, especially to women, is that men are so visual. So we look at, a woman, a lady, and we say, wow, like she's so pretty and she's in shape and all of these different things. And what has happened in society is that we kind of took that away. We said, what, everyone is beautiful. So it doesn't matter if you are 100 pounds, 5 feet, or 300 pounds, 5 feet, you're beautiful still. And that can be dangerous in a sense because what that is doing is creating an unhealthy habit for our mindset. Because obesity is one thing, and then being a little overweight is another thing. I'm not saying you can't be overweight, but when you can't get out of bed, when you can't be healthy, all that fat has to go somewhere. And typically it goes around your organ. And so your liver is putting in more work and you are trying to get rid of all these toxins in your body. So you're actually doing more harm to yourself by being overweight. And I always tell people, I was like, you don't have to lose all this weight to be a Beyonce or to be a Madonna. You can be whatever person you want to be, but I don't want you to allow society to depict that for you. You determine what makes you beautiful. And when you look in the mirror, ask yourself, do you want to make any changes? I look in the mirror and I say, you know what? My back needs a little bit of work. Guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to go into the gym and I'm going to work out back a little bit more deeper that day when I have back because I say I see an adjustment. This is what Arnold Schwarzenegger did. He would look in the mirror and he would say, oh, yes, I'm going along nicely. And then he would start to he's like, oh, yes, I need to do more curls. I need to do more legs. And then he would do that. He would look in the mirror and he said he sees what he was envisioning for himself. And I think sometimes people, they just use society's vision or society's basically marker for what a person should be. And then they stay there. So when you're big and beautiful, I'm not saying that you can't be big and beautiful, but what I am saying is that your standpoint or is that society's standpoint for you?
Yeah, I mean, you broke out the Arnold impression too. That was solid right there, man. I wasn't ready. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, so with my clients, it's never going to be like, hey, these are my goals for you. This is when I look at you, this is what I need out of you. It's, hey, if they want to tighten some up, I can help with that. But I'm never going to tell them, here's what you need to do because
Right.
I'm the expert and I'm going to tell you what to do. I will work with them on their goals. I mean, sometimes you do have to tell, kind of sell them on what they want, but give them what they actually need. Sometimes you need to help them with that. But most time, I'm not going to tell somebody. You could, especially. I mean, I train women. You mean go in there and tell these women, hey, you could stand to lose a few pounds. Dang, man, I'll be slapped every day, all day, every day. I'm not going to
Yeah.
do that. I'm going to help you reach the goals that you see that you want for yourself. I'm with you, man. Society tells you, well, hey, this is the perfect body. Like, no, man, people are attracted to all different shapes, sizes, and all things, man. So whatever you're looking for, that's what I want to help you with.
And I would give all the ladies listening to this podcast some advice. What I did for my wife when I was helping her lose that weight was I just asked her just to find someone that has a body type that you would like, right? Just find someone. You don't have to be that person. You don't have to have their success or anything. Just find the body type that you would like. Most people will find that, right? Most people are not going to say, nope, I'm good. Most people will look and they'll say, I actually kind of like her figure. And then we could say, all right, great. And then we have a goal to work toward versus, oh, wait, I'm supposed to be 150 pounds. They don't know what that looks like. I don't know what 150-pound me looks like, but I'm not looking for 150-pound me. I would look at maybe a bodybuilder, or I'll look at maybe a sports player and I will say, I like their physique. What do they do? Right. So I'm going to look at the workouts they do, maybe even go as far as into the diets that they're having. But just because I look at the workouts and just because I look at their diets does not mean it's going to work for me because everyone has a unique body, a unique makeup. And that is why a person like you, Joe, is important because you can really look at a person beyond what is standard, right? We have all these fad diets, for example, paleo, whole 30, keto, Atkins. I mean, we can go on the list of all these diets, but just because we have a diet that can be universal doesn't mean it's universal for you. But when you have a trainer, then that's when they can really look at what's working and what is not working.
Yeah, and for most of us, most people can do the exercise. They can show up and do the workouts. What's going on the other 23 hours of the day? We got to look at, sleep for my clients. Most of them are 40 and above. Sleep's become a big problem. The
Mm.
hormone changes are affecting those. Hormones are another thing. What are your habits? Are you active outside of your workout? Don't think of this, hey, this is the only time I'm going to move all day long is this 1 hour. Make it an active lifestyle. Just small things like you talk about walking out to the mailbox, go walk to get the mail. I saw someone the other day drive back down their driveway to go get the mail. Like, come on, man, you can walk 20 feet. Come on
Yeah.
now. I know it's hot. We're here in Texas. I'm in Alabama. I know it's hot, but come on, man. But little stuff like that adds up. It's, and there's something called NEAT activities, non-exercise activity thermogenesis. Just basically calories you're burning outside of your workout. It could be, sweeping or mopping or things like that, walking, fidgeting. Like I'm a fidgeter, I'm looking like I'm on a sewing machine over here with my heel. I fidget a lot. So that's burning calories. It's not something I do, consciously, but look for things outside of your workout to be more active. All these little things add up. So look for those.
And when you get to the workout too, figure out when you like working out. I mean, there's so many different things that you have to look at. And like I said, if you get a trainer, they typically can say, hey, I think you work out better in the evenings, right? Or in the morning. For me, I enjoy working out in the mornings. If I have to work out in the evening, I will do it, but I'm not enjoying it. It's just who I am. It's just in the morning, first thing in the morning, I'm like, whoop, I'm up, I'm at the gym. And it doesn't matter if I go at 6, alarm clock wakes me up, or if I go up when I wake up naturally at 7:30, 8, then, I'm still going to work out first thing in the morning for me. And it just depends. Like my life has changed over the years where I was able to, at one point, wake up at 4:30, go to the gym at 5. Now you're a parent, you have a business, you might not be able to get that type of workout in anymore. So you're going to have to figure out when you can go. So now my workouts are typically, a little bit later. So anywhere between 6 and 8, typically 9 latest. But then that's when meetings start for me. So unless I can do the meeting at the gym, depending on the client, then I'm going to have to, get the workout in before. And for me, what I realize is that in the morning, people think, oh, I'm tired and I don't want to use all my energy for the day. I feel more energetic for me. But then sometimes people, they say in the morning, I just can't do it. But at night, they have all this energy versus me in the evening. I'm kind of winding down and I want to do maybe more low energy tasks like reading a book, things like that, or just having meetings because typically meetings are low energy for me. So I would do those tasks in the evening rather than the morning when I have more energy. So figuring out what type of person you are, I think, is also a key component in working out and then figuring out your body.
Yeah, and convenience is a huge thing too. If you're having to drive an hour, or you go fight traffic to get to your gym, and it's like I said, an hour away from your office or your home, that's going to be tough to sustain. Most people need something within about 15 minutes. Whether they work out at home or somewhere closer, because then you get these excuses that come. Well, I don't have time, which is the number one excuse with not working out is I don't have time. So you've got to find these ways. So convenience is a huge factor in getting those workouts in.
And then I know when we had our quarantines and our lockdowns, my gym was closed for 3 months.
Mm.
And I was like, man, I was losing my mind. I was running around the block. I bought some bands. I had some weights in the home and I was still working out, but it wasn't the same because when you go
Right.
into that gym environment, it's like the air is different, the
Yeah.
motivation is different. And I even think about like, I'm going to build a gym in my home. And I said, don't do it because I'm not going to use it. I
Yeah.
would rather drive 10 minutes, 15 minutes to go to a gym because that right there is already triggering my brain saying, hey, I just drove 15 minutes. You better work out
Yeah.
versus I'm home already. Well, the sofa's upstairs. I got a pizza in the oven. I mean, it's so easy at home because home is a very comfortable place for the most part.
Yeah.
So for people to work out at home requires even more discipline than just driving to the gym or getting to the gym and then working out. I know for some people, they leave work at 5 and they go straight to the gym because if they go from work to home, guess what? They're not going to the gym.
Yeah, it's a wrap. They're not making it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of like all these tips and tricks of when you can work out and what kind of sparks that type of motivation. What are some things you do to motivate some of your clients when they come to you initially and they might feel like they're motivated, but then maybe in a couple of weeks the pain starts and they're like, I'm sore, I can't move, and then they're looking for an exit strategy.
For me, it's kind of setting the tone. They're like, hey, well, why are you doing this? Well, I want to lose weight. Well, why? There's kind of this exercise called the 5 whys, where you keep niching it down, or eventually you get this emotional connection to your goal rather than, hey, I want to lose weight. Almost everybody in the world these days would like to lose a few pounds, for the most part. There's millions, billions probably of people that want to lose weight. What separates them from the people that actually make it happen? They're the
Mhm.
ones that are going to have this emotional attachment where they can get back to like, why am I doing this? You kind of got to remind yourself, well, if it's just losing weight, well, you've had this weight for years. What's going to make it just come off right now just because you started exercising? Because hey, man, exercise hurts. It's tough. It's a disruption in your life. I mean, I realize what I'm offering people is pain, misery, disruption. They're already busy. They don't have the time. It's a tough sell, man. I'm telling you. So if they can figure out, well, why am I doing this? And usually it gets back to some version of I don't feel like I'm enough.
Mhm.
They're because some of them, they maybe when they were a kid, their mom had weight issues and they pass it on to them, and now they're worried about passing it on to their kids. So that's a big one that I see that I had these unhealthy body image my whole life, and now I do not want to pass that on to my daughter. That's a huge thing that, hey, I want to show her you can be healthy and do all these things the right way. And if you're doing it for someone else, sometimes that's a more powerful thing. Sometimes you need to do it for yourself. Obviously, it's a hot one right now when it's 100 degrees and you're busy and you're tired and you got 100 other things going on. Are you still going to get that workout in? You
Hmm.
know, in the wintertime when it's, 20 degrees, it's freezing, and you got 100 things going on at work, and you got all the chores at home, but you still got to get that workout. Are you going to show up, or are you going to like, man, today's not the day? You know,
Hmm.
because if you're totally committed and you got this deep emotional goal that you're tied to, that's a great place to start right there, rather than just I want to lose weight, because then
Hmm.
that's easy to bail on that one.
And you're right, your why wakes you up. So when it's winter and it's cold and you're under those warm blankets and you just flip the blanket a little bit, get a little hit of that cold, you oh, blanket back on,
Yeah.
snooze alarm back.
Yeah.
All right. It's like, all right, I don't think I'm going to go venture off in this world today. It's just
Yeah.
too harsh.
Well,
Right.
that's so easy, man. Because quitting is a habit as well.
Hmm.
That it becomes you can just kind of turn that off, like, oh, I don't really want to do that. This feels much better than whatever my pain points are. So
Hmm. And it's all these little habits. Like for me, there's no snooze button on any of
me
my
neither.
alarms because that's it's not going to help me. I set the alarm for when I need to wake up. I don't give myself 5 minutes. So if I have to wake up at 6, the alarm rings at 6. I hit the stop button, and the first thing I do is I get out of bed. And if you're familiar with the 5 second rule, is that we have 5 seconds before our brain gets in the way. So I just count 3, 2, 1. I typically don't go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I just go 3, 2, 1, and I'm out of the bed. I do that a lot in the winter. In the summer, it's a little bit easier because it's already temperate in the house. So it's kind of like, yeah, it feels great.
Hmm.
Versus it's winter and it feels 60, and you're like,
That's
oh,
that's
this
tough, man. That's tough.
is, it's like a 10-degree difference, from or more from your sheets to the bathroom to get ready and to get dressed and then go to the gym and then going outside is even colder. I mean, there's just so many elements that the brain does on a subconscious level, and it kind of deters us. So we have to have that why that kind of pinpoints what we want to do. And I remember I was talking to my father about this because he was an in shape guy. He would go to the gym 3 to 4 times every week. Big muscular guy. He worked in construction. And after, he had all his kids and he kind of got out of construction and he just kind of stopped going to the gym, right? He did some push-ups and stuff. So he had some weights at the home, but it wasn't to the degree he was doing it because he didn't need that body anymore, basically.
Right. Yeah.
Well, over the years, he's getting up there in age, his body started to break down and it finally broke. So it's kind of like, well, what do you do now, right? You have to get back to your old former self because people just kind of go with their circumstances and say, well, I don't need these big muscles anymore. I don't need to be able to run a mile, under 5 minutes. All of these different things help you stay healthy for the long run, for the long term. And for him, I kind of got him woke up by just saying, like, what about your grandkids? You don't want to chase after them. Yeah, you chase after us, but what about them? And then using them as the kind of collateral for his motivation. He's like, that makes perfect sense. Now he's getting back in shape. So it wasn't so much of him getting in shape for him, it was him getting in shape for someone else, which would be his grandkids, because he sees himself as still being, able to run with them and being a part of their life and not just a grandpa that sits on, a chair and rocks back and forth and, yells at the kid from afar.
Yeah, that's a powerful motivator. I train a lot of grandmothers, and that's a big one. Like, hey, when I get down on the ground to play with the grandkids, I want to be able to get back up. Just starting there, like that's their main goal. It's just, hey, without having to, everyone pull grandma up. The grandma just pops right back up if she wants to.
Yeah. And setting those goals, though, right? It has to begin somewhere. Typically, people need a trauma. Typically, people need some type of realization that they're not fit or they're not able to keep up, that things have to change, right? Is there a way that you can think of that can spark people, maybe people that are listening right now, they didn't have that trauma quite yet, but maybe they're on that road there to spark that change, to spark that drive in them to get in shape and to maybe start to develop their life into a more fit and healthy way.
I mean, I think you touched on it that why wait for something bad to happen?
Mm.
Why wait for the heart attack, or why wait for your wife and kids? You no longer have a relationship because you have no energy to keep up with them, or why wait for these bad things to happen? Like what I'm seeing a lot now, like I said, my clients have gotten a little bit older. They're kind of that sandwich generation where they're still raising kids, but also their parents did not take care of themselves. They're having to care for their parents as well. And a lot of them say, man, this will not be me. And they see their parents struggling in their 80s or 70s or something like that, and they can barely get around, and diabetes and high blood pressure, and all these things that for the most part are completely avoidable. And they said, well, that's not going to be me. So,
Mhm.
you may see it in someone else, but my whole thing is, why would you even make that a possibility? Why don't you cut that off before that ever happens? I want to be happy and strong the rest of my life. I don't want to have to go through some huge, traumatic thing before I make a change. I want to stay feeling good.
And I think that's one of the most important things that we can give someone is that they have the opportunity right now to change their life immediately. They don't have to wait for something bad to happen. They don't have to wait for January 1st or a contingency that they give themselves that when, as you said, they can say, I can change my life today. Finding a trainer, finding a fitness coach is one of those things that I know many people, they, just kind of throw to the wind where they say, I'm just going to go to my local gym and they get a trainer and that trainer might not be the best fit. I know for my local gym, I have probably, I think there's about 7 to 9 trainers in there. And I would say only 3 or 4 are quality. So it's not so much that you're working with a trainer, it's finding the right fit. And I tell people all the time when you're looking for someone, be it a coach too, find someone you resonate with, someone
Absolutely.
who's going to be in your corner, who's going to be your biggest cheerleader, who has a good work life personality where they can relate to you, where you're not just going into work and suffer, is kind of going in to spend time and to build a relationship with someone, because that relationship building is going to lead to so much more.
Yeah, and you can interview them, man. You don't have to just go with hey, you're gonna go with this guy. Go check out, do your research, interview, talk to these people. There's some people, super awesome trainers, they'll do you exactly right, but you may not get along with. You may not enjoy spending time with them. You're probably not gonna go back. You're not gonna enjoy it. You can have the best of both worlds, where you can go and like you said, you want to vibe with that person because you guys are gonna be in a pretty intimate relationship trying to get those results, especially if it's one-on-one training. I mean, it's a lot of FaceTime, and if you do not like that person or you don't like their training style or whatever it is, it's not going to work. No matter how qualified they are, if they get great results for someone else, that doesn't matter. Fine, you nailed it. Because some people just they think all trainers are created equally, and
Mhm.
they are not. You just said probably less than half of the ones at your gym are qualified,
Yeah.
and that's stuff you got
And
to look out for.
that's why I bring so many different coaches on coaching a session. The whole premise of the podcast, coaches talking about what they do, explaining what they do, how they can help. And then for people coming onto the podcast, listening to the podcast, and then really saying, that person resonated with me. Because I know when I go on a podcast, I will get people saying, hey, I heard you on this podcast and you resonated with me so well. Yes, that's going to be the case for all of these coaches that come on. So, Joe, you're the same. So, if you're, listening to this podcast and you're like, wow, Joe has what I'm looking for, and then, you could reach out to him and then start that conversation. And then you could start that journey together. And, it's magical when you can find someone who you can just flow with, right? And I know many people, they get into these relationships and they are in this honeymoon phase in the beginning and then it kind of dies out. It's because they weren't looking for all of those factors in the relationship. When we have a new type of environment, our endorphins are high and we're like, this feels good. But then long term, how does it feel? Right. So if you can find someone you resonate with, someone you match with on, so many different levels, then you can really dive deep into getting to a better life or whatever change you're looking for, depending on the coach. So if I can from you, Joe, if you can give us a few last words and then please tell people where they can find you.
Absolutely. So if you're listening to this right now, what you want to do right now is go give this podcast a 5-star review. Start right there. I know you're getting value from this. I've listened to several episodes. He deserves 5 stars. So that's your first move. Go on there, give this podcast 5 stars. And then I want you to email me at huntsvillebootcamp@gmail.com. Put in the subject line, put Michael in the subject line. And then I'm going to send you a free gift. You have to give them the 5 stars first, but I'm going to give you a free gift. And then from there, if you want to check out what I do, it's huntsvillebootcamp.com. It's kind of the hub for everything. It's got the link to my podcast, Relentless Positivity. It's a great podcast. I need to have the host of this podcast on there. He seems like an awesome guest to have on there. And just check that out. The podcast is out there. I got a book out there on Amazon. Relentless Positivity is a book on there. Amazon bestseller. Humble brag on that. But hey, give them that 5-star review. Email me. I'll get you that free gift. And just if you're out there right now and you're thinking, well, I've kind of given up on exercise. You just haven't found the right thing. There's one way, or probably several ways, that you will enjoy moving your body, a way that you can eat, a way that you can sleep, a way that you can feel awesome every day of your life. It doesn't have to be like this. You don't have to be in pain all the time. You don't have to be tired all the time. There's a better way. Don't give up. Keep looking. If it's me, if it's Michael, if somebody out there can help you, but don't give up.
Mhm. Perfect. And you said it, there is a better way. So if you're not happy with your current circumstance, if you're not happy with the results you're getting, you can make that change. You can find a coach, you can find someone who's going to help guide you to that life or to that body image that you're looking for. And it doesn't have to be something where it's so far out of reach. You can start small and then build yourself up, because what we're looking for here, especially, with my company, is to make people better. And I'm sure Joe, same thing, helping people get to better. Just because you were given a certain hand doesn't mean your life is over, doesn't mean you're going to lose this game of life. You have to just use what you have, kind of like poker, and you can make that losing hand win. And whether it's starting slow, finding what you love, or just changing your habits and your routines, all of those things are going to be indicative to you getting in shape and you getting into a better mindset. And that's what we do here. And I know that is what Joe does also with his podcast, his book, and his business. So I encourage you to check Joe out also. Check his podcast out, check his book, buy his book, his website. All of those links are going to be in the description box below. So easy for you to get to him. And I would like to thank you, Joe, for coming on. A lot of energy and a lot of great wisdom from you today.
Man, it was great being on. I really appreciate the opportunity.
All right, Joe Martin, everyone.